Hey guys, welcome to Fight Off Your Demons Fantasy Podcast with your host, Brett Jones, the coolest host we have. Better than that Brandon guy. No, I'm just teasing. Hey Brandon, thanks for the scenario updates. What a great video to let everybody kind of know where they're at right now. Love that stuff. So trade deadline was Tuesday at midnight. But I was thinking, what was the point of that? As long as all the trades are in by Thursday night game, that's all that matters before week 10. So technically, you have till 5:55 p.m. Mountain Time Wednesday night to accept the trade before it goes in. So it goes through for the Thursday night game. You want to have those players before Thursday night. Anything that gets accepted afterwards, I will go in and just cancel. It won't happen, unless the league is okay to accept them and say, hey, they can go through. But after that sense, after like the league says, oh, it's okay if it's by 10 or 15 minutes, it's fine, and we can vote on it and go through. Then it's fine. But yeah, so back to like kind of like the trade deadline going on right now. Brandon kind of gave everybody a scenario of who they are and the playoffs where they're going to be. I'm going to go through keepers and just kind of tell you guys what keepers are out there, who's got these keepers, where they should go, what's going on with them, all this amazing good stuff that we talk about all the time. I'm going to do it by street light. So we're going to go red. Red's probably the worst. Now, remember, this is just my opinion. Everybody has different opinions on players and people. So my opinion on keepers and what you should be doing with them doesn't mean this is like what's being said and how it should go. So starting off with some red players, guys that people could keep or you could trade. These are guys that I just don't think are like proven. I can give reasons why. I don't know why you would keep them. We'll start off with DeAndre Swift. I know this is a guy Ryan has. Hey, look, he could be good in 2 or 3 years. His keeper price for next year is $23. Who knows what's going on in Detroit? Patricia doesn't know what he's doing. They don't run the ball enough. They're always down, so they're throwing. So to me, he's just not a keeper right now. Now you can invest in him. You could say, hey, that $23, I want to invest in this guy for the next year, but then you're at 33. His value is going to be way lower than that. He's not going to be at $23. Another person is Darrell Henderson with the Rams. They have so many running backs there. It's just kind of like a week by week basis. He probably is the best one there. But his keeper price is $26 next year, so I'm not sure if you really want to keep him. Another one, Melvin Gordon. Will has him. You could trade him to somebody, make their team a little better, but he hasn't really proven himself this year. $40 to keep. Who knows about his suspension? Is it going to come this year or next year? Everything I read says it's not going to happen until like December, so they'll probably say, okay, well, it'll be the first 3 games of next season. So I don't know about that one. That one's kind of tough. On my team, Todd Gurley. Let's say I want to be a seller this week. $37. Pretty good value. It's just, do you trust Todd Gurley? He's not like the Todd Gurley of past, but he's top 5 running back. He gets a touchdown, 15 carries a game. So I think he's going to get you like 10 to 15, 16 points. He's not going to get you like Dalvin Cook numbers or like Nick Chubb when he plays. Who's another good running back? There's a couple out there. Derrick Henry was one I'm thinking about. Yeah. Austin Eckler hurt too. I mean, you could have him on your roster. You could try to trade him to somebody for something small. $33 hurt. Also, the Chargers drafted a lot of running backs. They also just picked up Kalen Ballage. He looked really good on Sunday. He could be a good waiver wire pickup for people because it seemed like he got a lot of the load. So, yeah, I'm just not sure what's going on with him there. Steve's got Cam Newton for $6. You could trade him for somebody. You could keep him as a backup, but Cam just hasn't been great this year. Maybe on Monday Night Football he looked good. I mean, he started off looking great, and maybe COVID-19 just really affected him. But other than that, he hasn't looked great. Gronk at 11. Not saying it's bad. Gronk could get 10 points on average weekly. He had a bad game on Sunday, but who knows if he plays next year. I can't remember if he signed a 2-year deal or 1-year deal. He came back just because Brady came back. I don't know how much they love each other. And then 2 ones that I put in red, and maybe they'll not be red. In my opinion, they're kind of red, and I'll explain why. One of them is my player named Robert Tanya. He's a top maybe 8 wide receiver. Top 8 tight end. He had better numbers when Devontae Adams was out. Besides the big game, he might not be as high, but at $6, he's cheap. That's you drafting a tight end or a backup tight end at 6 isn't bad. But then again, a lot of people could say, hey, you could get him for $1, which is probably the right. This guy actually is borderline red. I put him in red. Maybe he should be yellow, but I put CeeDee Lamb. And the only reason why I put CeeDee Lamb in red is he's at $16 next year for a keeper, which isn't great. I bet his value will be lower because he's just not going to be good the rest of the year without a quarterback there. Maybe Dalton and him could get better. Now, if he had Dak all young, that might be an amazing keeper. He probably is the number one wide receiver in Dallas. He probably would take over Amari Cooper. So, with that being said, he could also be in a yellow spot. But I haven't read because you could say, hey, well, next year Dak's gonna be back. Steve was like 3-0 with Dak scoring 30 plus points a game, slinging the ball 50 times. So we'll see there. Now we're going to our yellow guys. These are guys where, yeah, they're great. They could be at good price and know who they are. One of my guys, Robbie Anderson. $11 next year. His one downfall is touchdowns. He's getting 6 to 10 points weekly. He's just not getting touchdowns. Week 1, he got the touchdown. I think he's actually top 3 wide receiver in the league on yards. So he's getting yards, which is great. He's getting the throws and the yards, but he's just not getting touchdowns. Chris Godwin, $31 next year. Great season last year. Brady's just screwed up all the receivers in Tampa Bay. They all just don't know what they're doing with Brady. Brady's used to throwing the ball to nobodies, and now he has all these stars, and he doesn't know what to do. So, Chris Godwin could be a guy like, hey, I don't want him. Trade him to somebody. Maybe Brandon, me, Pace, Marson could take a chance on him, but still $31, and how he's been, not great. Robert Woods, 22. Robert Woods is good. He's not like crazy amazing, and he always has. My thing with Robert Woods, I had him one year. I haven't really looked at him this year, but he's always like, hey, I'll give you a 20 or 18 point game, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 30 point game, 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 4, 20 point game. He just kind of, and a lot of receivers kind of do that sometimes. Devontae Parker at $15, not bad. The offense has been switching back between now Tua and with Fitzpatrick, so it just kind of depends. Parker also had some hamstring issues. This one's interesting for Brandon. Deshaun Watson. Oof. And I know he has Justin Herbert, and we'll get back to Herbert because Herbert's going to be up. He got rid of all of his players, they're rebuilding there. He hasn't looked as good. One thing that's good about Deshaun Watson, though, is when the team's down, then he throws, and that's where he gets all of his points. It's just garbage time. So that's a player Brandon could trade to somebody to get like a cheap a wide receiver or like a second string running back. Another player he has is Chris Carson, and at $33 next year, that's probably a great price for an RB1. Who knows how longer he has? I know he's not old, but I feel like every year he's missing a few games. Always just kind of having the Seahawks running back problems going on there. Drew Brees at $8, probably value. It's like quarterbacks are great. You can trade quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are good. Drew Brees is always good. That's why I always like him. I like him because you get him for cheap. And $8 next year isn't bad. So not the best. He didn't have the best numbers at the beginning of the season with Michael Thomas being back. I think that changed a lot for them on Sunday because he just opens the field, and like Marson would complain where he has the shortest yards he has his whole career. Well, yeah, then look at Sunday. Boom, they're just slinging the ball down the field because now he's got his best wide receiver, and he can just kind of throw the ball where he wants because Thomas opens up the field for everybody else because people are going to guard him. People are going to guard that guy. Lamar Jackson, $12. Great keeper for a quarterback. That's good. He just had a bad year. I know we might not think bad, but it's not like bad, but just bad to what Lamar Jackson is. Especially what he was last year. I did offer Pace an amazing trade early in the season. I offered him Aaron Rodgers and somebody else. I think it was like Michael Thomas or Kelsey or somebody for Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, and he said no. And Pace would be so better off with that trade right now. AJ Brown at 33. He's been awesome. He missed a lot of games. He's in the yellow because he's at $33, which is kind of high. I think Ryan has him. You could trade him or keep him. It might be right at value for next year. Cooper Kupp for Dayton, $29. Just like what Brandon said, Dayton's got to decide, hey, am I in or I'm out? And what do I want to do the rest of the season? If I was Dayton, I'd be out. I'd just start trading guys for keepers. That's just because I want to make the playoffs too, so that's why I think that. But I don't think his bench is just strong. I feel like his starting lineup was great, especially when Aaron Jones was great. But if Aaron Jones isn't good, then Dayton's team really struggles. Jonathan Taylor, $28. That one's kind of tough too because Now they have a new guy running on them. I don't know his name. I can't remember. But it's like another running back for the Colts, and now they're sharing, so it's like kind of interesting. J.K. Dobbins at 14. Ryan already traded for him for Dayton, and look, he could be good in a couple years. Like, he could be a great trade in a couple years. But yeah, I just $14. You would think you'd already take over by now. Mark Ingram's hurt, and then Gus Edwards is looking better. It's like, why don't they just run in J.K. Dobbins? He's the rookie. Justin Jefferson out of Minnesota at $21. I think DJ has him. If DJ feels like he's wanting to like hit this hard and make the playoffs, that's a guy I'd be trading. I'd be trading him to somebody because I think he's legit. He might not. He probably could go undervalued at next year's draft or be right at value. I think he's gonna get better. And who knows what Adam Thielen? He's getting old. He's been there a while. You know, I don't know. I do like him though. I just don't think he's green. He's more yellow for me. Calvin Ridley at $29. Pace traded for Julio Jones from Will or from somebody. I can't. Was it Will? No, it was Ryan. No, who was it? I can't remember who it was. It's DJ. Got mad at DJ on that Sunday morning conversation. But yeah, Calvin Ridley at 29. You got Julio Jones. But Calvin Ridley's hurt. I just don't know why you'd want to start two receivers from the same team. Maybe it can pan out sometimes weekly. But yeah, 29. I would pass on that one. All right, now moving up to the green. These are guys that I think are awesome keepers next year. I think there's a lot of value in having these guys on your team or trading for these guys. We'll start off with Antonio Gibson. I really like him. People don't, but I think he's going to be the clear guy in Washington for years to come. And he's also great at pass catching and running the ball. $11 next year. If I'm Ryan, I keep him. You know, I would just keep that guy. We'll go Joe Burrow for Will. I know he has Kyler Murray, who's going to be $11. Joe Burrow $7. You can just keep both of them, really. You know, that's also if we vote for unlimited keepers. But I like both those guys. I mean, cheap value for both of them. Burrow could be a little cheaper than that. Murray's going to be a lot higher, so Murray's probably got the better value, but they're both good. Myles Gaskin. Now, this is a guy I love. $11. Kind of went on the IR. You're going to miss 2 more weeks. Pace at this point, trade him. You don't need him on your team. You're going to make the playoffs. You don't need him for the playoff run. He's not going to get high numbers this year. He's a rookie. He could on a game or two, but that's a guy you could package and get a better player. And we'll talk about some players later where you can kind of hulk your team up a little bit. But yeah, if I were you, I would trade that guy. Tua from the Dolphins. Dayton's got him on his bench, $6. Look, Dayton, you could keep him at $6 next year. I think it's a great trade. I think he's looked pretty good in 2 games, and that's just 2 games. And his running is just going to get better. And I mean, he's 2-0 as a starter, which is pretty awesome. I mean, he just beat Kyler Murray in an awesome Sunday afternoon game. It was a fun game to watch. But yeah, I like him. Sticking on those quarterbacks, those rookie quarterbacks, Justin Herbert. Oh man, if you watch this guy play football, a lot of his passes are just sexy. He's the version 2.0 of Tom Brady. I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Tom Brady, but he's got some pretty awesome throws, and he's only $6 next year. So even for Brandon, I might ride him the rest of the season and trade Watson, you know, and keep him. James Robinson is probably the best keeper in the league right now, and Will got him. He's $11 next year. To have a starting running back that's getting 15 plus carries a game and good at getting yards and touchdowns, and to have him at $11 next year, and you could probably keep that guy for the next 4 or 5 years. He is probably the next best keeper for a long time, as long as he just stays who he is. And you know, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But great move by Will. You know, great move because Will had Zeke, and Zeke was like, I think if you kept him, or he paid like $70 or $80 for Zeke, and high risk, high reward for Brandon. You know, like, who knows what's going on with the Cowboys or what's going on with them? You know, like, who knows? Like, Cowboys are just tough. Aaron Jones, Dayton at $31 next year. Probably worth keeping. Probably worth keeping on your team because he helps you win, and $31 is going to be undervalued for him next year. He has missed some games with some injuries, but, you know, I think you should keep that guy. Aaron Rodgers for me at $8. Probably keep him. You know, he's in the MVP talks this year, especially with Wilson having a bad game on Sunday. I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes and Dalvin Cook are the other 2 guys in the MVP hunt, but Aaron Rodgers is just like kind of back to where he is, you know, being Aaron Rodgers. This one's tough. I put him at green just because he's so far above everybody else in his position, but his price is probably high, but probably about average what he's going to be. So Travis Kelce next year at 37, I could trade him to contender if I feel like I want to sell him. But there's just like Travis Kelce tight end and then everybody below, and it's just such a big drop off compared to where he's at and everybody's at. So at 37, I like him. It might be at value, but you also could say, hey, I could get a receiver that's just as good as Kelce, and just do cheap tight end. I know that's what Jake likes to do. Jake's like, hey, I don't like to pay a lot of money in tight end. It's just the one position I don't like to pay money on. So it's tough for me. It's like 37 is not bad next year. I gotta keep him for $37. Probably be at value, maybe a little under, maybe a little over. But yeah, that's a tough one. Kareem Hunt, I think Pace has him at 26. This could be a guy you could keep, you could trade. I'm not sure what you want to do with him there. Also, Will Fuller. You have him as well Pace, $16. Will Fuller, 6 straight games with a touchdown. That's awesome. A receiver's going to get you a touchdown every game. That's 6+ points, Well, he probably averages 12 to 16 points a week, somewhere around that range, and I think he's a good keeper. You also have Alvin Kamara at $41. We know you're not going to trade him, but he is at keeper value. He's probably still a little under. You'll probably keep him for another year or 2 or 3. Who knows though? Brandon kept Christian McCaffrey at 78, and I think Alvin Kamara might be 1 or 2. Dalvin Cook might have passed him up, but if not, then Kamara might be number 2 running back in the league. And it's just because he gets yards, passing, running, touchdowns. So this one I liked a lot. DK Metcalf at $19. Now, Marston, your team is pretty solid. You have a great team. You can win it. This is the guy that can just put you over the edge. Now, you can keep him and think, hey, he's going to be great. He's going to be awesome. And he might just stick number 1 or 2 wide receiver the rest of the year. Or top 5 at least. Or you could trade for, let's say, a Devontae Adams that Ryan has, who is just going to get touchdowns no matter what. That's who Rodgers wants to throw to. There's nobody else in Green Bay that can catch the ball. So it's just tough. That one's a hard decision. Do you want to keep him? DJ could sling you Derrick Henry for him or with the package because, DJ just loves Seahawks. And if you want Derrick Henry, and look, Derrick Henry's on my list of green at $41. That's not bad for him next year. He's going to be at value or under, not over, definitely, because we really love running backs in this league. But yeah, that one gets tough. You also have Nick Chubb. You'll probably keep him $38 next year, but he's on your bench on IR. I don't know how long that goes. I know you love Chubb. You always have. So that's just totally up to you. Here's the big kicker. Okay, Marston, let's say you love DK Metcalf. You love all these players. I'm talking to you a little bit. Patrick Mahomes. He has not been the same Patrick Mahomes that he was last year. He's still awesome. He's still you're going to get points, but there's been a few games where he just touchdown or 2, or not as much as he used to have. He's a $60 keeper next year, which is amazing. You're probably going to keep him for the next 8 years plus. Probably till his whole career because he's only going up $5 as of right now. You could trade him for a great quarterback, another quarterback that's top 5 or 10, and a couple other players, and really beef up your team. But it's just up to you. That's just where you have to draw the line of look, hey, Ryan, here's Patrick Mahomes for Devontae Adams, Ryan Tannehill, and somebody else. You're getting more points than those 3 players that you'd start every week versus just the 1 player, but it's also great to have a dynasty keeper. Derrick Henry for DJ, $41. Like I said, he could Hulk somebody's team up really good, and we'll get back to that. We'll get back to that here in a minute. DJ, you also have Russell Wilson at 28. You probably will keep him next year because everybody wants to ride you up with him because he's just always awesome and amazing. Jake Ronald Jones Jr. at 19. Who knows what's going on with the Bucs? We talked about that. It's just they look great one week, they look bad one week. Plus now lately in the last couple games, him and Fournette are splitting plays, snaps, and carries. So I don't know. He fumbled 2 weeks ago, and that took him out of the game. You have Stephon Diggs at 15. Probably keeper you'll keep. He looks great in Buffalo with Josh Allen. No reason for you to trade him. Miles Sanders at 25. Not bad. He'll probably be undervalued next year just because he's a running back. He's been hurt, though, so that kind of sucks. That probably has hurt your team a lot. Keenan Allen at 22. I like him green. I like his value a lot. Basically because he's a guy on my team. I'll probably keeper him. I just like his value because of Justin Herbert. His first 2 to 3 games, he wasn't very great at all with, crap. I don't remember the guy's name. I can't remember his name, but yeah, he just wasn't great with the other court. Tyrod Taylor. He wasn't great with Tyrod Taylor, but since Hurts came in, like they have a great connection. I just think it's going to get better. So to me, $20 next year, if I can't get a trade for him for a better player, I'm definitely going to keep him. Now let's go to Hulk up, because between Pace, Marston, Brandon, DJ, Dayton, Brett, we all kind of want to Hulk our team up. There's 6 guys going for 4 playoff spots, and 2 of them are most likely filled with Marston and Pace. So you got 4 guys for 2 playoff spots. Marston, Raheem Mostert, you don't need him. Get rid of him. Get something out of him, man. Like just get a keeper or somebody. I mean, you could trade him. Like his keeper price isn't amazing next year. $41. I think I have that right. Maybe I have that wrong. Let's check real quick. I know you're watching this and you're thinking, yeah, $41 next year. Like it's just not somebody you need. Who knows when he'll be back in 2 weeks. You could use him. Mike Evans, Mike Evans and Joe Mixon. Steve, you don't need those guys. You're not going to keep those guys. $54 for Mike Evans and $60. Get rid of them. Sell them to somebody right now. Get a keeper or 2, because you just don't need those 2. And really, Joe Mixon was great until he got hurt. Mike Evans had a pretty bum year compared to what Mike Evans usually has. This is the one that gets tricky, and I've tried trading with Ryan with this one. He loves Devontae Adams. $52 next year, probably going to be at value or a little under. I don't think he'll be over. He's looked awesome this year, so you could keep him, or you could get 2 keepers with him, or 1, or however it works. Depends on us. Also, it's also depends on the vote of unlimited keepers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, $62. You don't need him. Trade him. Get rid of him. You just don't need him. Too much money. Marston, George Kittle, 19. He sucks. Get rid of him. He's always hurt. I remember last year Marston's like, oh, Kittle's better than Kelsey. Well, not true. Zeke, 81. You already traded him. You don't need him. This one gets interesting. DJ, Tyler Lockett at $38. I just don't think you need him. Trade him. Hulk somebody up, man. Like, there's so much going on in Seattle with DK Metcalf kind of taking over the reins. I think Tyler Lockett's moved on side. He might have that game where he still gets like 3 touchdowns every once in a while, but I think the true number 1 there is just DK Metcalf. So this is just, a bunch of list of players for you guys to think and look at. I'll text it out on the group me with this after I send this video of prices and guys the Hulk up. But this is just kind of my opinion on the trade deadline and keepers. What's good, what's bad, what's not. There's already been some trades made. Hopefully you can make some more. But yeah, it's been a fun season so far. Any questions on rules or things that you're out, always just text me. I'll tell you, or call me. DJ called me because he was confused about something, and we just chatted about it. And I thought he was just teasing, but he's like, oh no, I really didn't know. But he's totally understood. It was totally cool. I try to hopefully make sure everybody gets and understands things. So if you just don't, just hey, I'm not mad or anything. Just let me know. But there you guys go. There's the trade block keeper / Hulk up your team list for the 2020 fantasy football season. So good luck, guys, the rest of the season.